Prince William has just stepped into control of something massive. Not just a title, not just a role, but one of the most powerful private estates in the entire United Kingdom. And the moment it became his, everything changed, because this wasn't just land, this wasn't just wealth. This was influence, control, power over people, positions, and money. And according to sources, the very first thing William did shocked everyone watching closely. He cleared it out, completely. Every connection that didn't belong to him, removed. And what he's preparing to do next. That's what has reportedly pushed Camilla into a level of panic no one expected. Because for the first time in years, she may have nowhere to stand. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to one moment. September 8th, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passes away at Balmoral Castle. And then that exact second, before the world even fully processed the news, a chain reaction began. King Charles III, that part everyone saw. But something else happened quietly in the background. Something just as powerful. Prince William became the Duke of Cornwall. Automatically. Instantly. And with that title came ownership of something extraordinary. The Duchy of Cornwall. A private estate worth around $1.02 billion, stretching across 135,000 acres, spanning 23 counties in England and Wales, including major parts of the Isles of Scilly, half of Dartmoor, historic castles, working farms, holiday properties, investment portfolios, a system built over nearly 700 years. This estate wasn't just created randomly. It was established in 1337 by King Edward III for his son, the Black Prince. And since then, one rule has never changed. It belongs to the heir to the throne. No exceptions, no negotiations. By 2025, this estate was generating around $30 million a year for William. Completely independent income. In fact, he doesn't even have to pay tax on it. But he chooses to. That's how powerful this system is. But here's where things take a darker turn. Because this very estate was the same system that funded King Charles for decades. Everything, his lifestyle, his projects, his properties, all of it came from here. During the same years, his relationship with Camilla continued, the same relationship that broke Princess Diana. Diana herself once described it in a way the world never forgot. There were 3 people in this marriage, but what people didn't see was what happened behind closed doors. The emotional damage, the isolation, the collapse of confidence. According to insiders, Diana would quietly ask staff a heartbreaking question, "Am I beautiful enough?" And when they reassured her, she didn't believe it. She couldn't. Because the man she loved made her feel invisible. There were nights she cried alone, hours of silence, moments no one saw. A woman admired by millions slowly losing herself. And all of it happened while William and Harry were still children, watching, absorbing, understanding more than anyone realized. And now, years later, that same financial system, that same estate belongs to her son. But there was another detail. One that most people completely missed. The Duchy of Cornwall was designed for one specific purpose, to make sure the heir could never be controlled. Not by the monarch, not by anyone. William doesn't depend on his father. He doesn't depend on the system. He controls his own. And inside that system was a name, a very specific name. Annabel Elliot, Camilla's sister. For nearly 20 years, she had been part of the duchy, designing properties, receiving payments, holding a position that came from one place only, her connection to Camilla. She was hired in 2005. No competition, no process, just access. And for 2 decades, it worked perfectly until William took over, because the moment he became her superior, everything changed. But to understand why William acted the way he did, you need to understand something deeper. This wasn't just about roles or money or restructuring. This was personal, because long before William had power, he was watching everything. Back in 2005, before Charles married Camilla, William and Harry made one request, a simple one. They said, "We support you, just don't marry her." They understood what it would do to their mother's memory, to the public, to everything. But Charles went ahead anyway. And to manage the backlash, the palace made a promise. Camilla would never be queen, only a princess consort. That was the agreement. William accepted it, publicly, quietly. But years later, that promise disappeared. In 2022, Queen Elizabeth expressed her wish that Camilla be known as queen consort. Then, slowly, even the word at consort Anish Camilla became queen. Fully, officially. And William said nothing. But according to insiders, he never forgot, because it wasn't just the title. It was everything around it. The influence, the internal dynamics, the way narratives were shaped behind the scenes. Camilla built relationships with the press. Stories appeared when needed. Reputation shifted, sometimes quietly, sometimes publicly. And inside the family, perceptions were influenced, opinions guided. William saw all of it. He stored it. He waited. And then, finally, he had control. So when it came to Annabelle, the decision was already made. He didn't announce it, didn't explain it, didn't discuss it. He simply removed her. When the Duchy's financial report came out, her name was gone. 20 years, ended in silence. No statement, no transition, nothing. Officially, it wasn't about her work, and everyone knew that. Because her work was respected, recognized, even influential. But this was never about talent. It was about connection, history, and control. At the same time, William began replacing positions with his own people, trusted names, close allies, and just like that, the structure shifted. Out went Camilla's network. In came William's. The message was clear. Without a single word. But this wasn't the only sign of tension. Even family traditions started changing. At Christmas, at Sandringham, something unusual happened. Camilla invited her son. William made his position clear. If he was there, he wouldn't attend. The invitation stayed. William stepped back, spent Christmas separately with his own family. A quiet decision, but a powerful one. And then came a public moment. During a high-profile visit, cameras captured something small but significant. A gesture, a signal. Kate was subtly moved aside, in front of the world. To some, it looked minor. To William, it wasn't. Because he had seen this before. Different context, same pattern. And that was the moment things shifted further. Behind the scenes, conversations became more serious. King Charles, facing health challenges, reportedly made one request: take care of Camilla. But William didn't respond with words. He responded with actions. And then comes the most critical part of this entire story: the homes. Because while everything else can change, ownership does not lie. Sandringham, Balmoral, private properties, not government-owned, not institutional. Family assets, they passed from Queen Elizabeth to Charles. And one day, they passed to William. Automatically, instantly, Camilla lives in these homes, moves through them, calls them her own. But legally, they are not hers. Not now. Not ever. And when that transition happens, everything changes. Titles shift. Positions adjust. Access becomes optional. And the one place that was truly hers, her private home, Ray Mill House, she sold it. The only property she owned independently, gone. Which means when the future changes, she won't have a personal fallback. Everything depends on William, the same man who already made his first move. Quietly, decisively, without hesitation. And now, the balance of power is no longer where it used to be. Because the boy who once had no control now holds all of it. And according to those watching closely, he's only just getting started. If you're watching this live, stay with me. Because what happens next might be even bigger than this.